Okay, well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm pleased to be here to introduce our workshop, roundtable today. And what we're going to be covering today is how to generate leads using digital marketing tools. And I'm very excited that we're going to have 4 local business owners tell you about their real experience. And then I have a couple of my most literate digital colleagues, Terry and Elise, will be giving you some of the lessons learned. But before we dive in and let our esteemed guests introduce themselves and jump in with the Q&A, I want to tell you a little bit about the Loudon SBDC. We are the organization that serves the citizens and businesses of Loudoun County, and what we exist to do is to foster economic impact, and we do that through one-to-one coaching, training events like this, and other online resources that we make available to any pre-venture, anybody that's interested in starting a business, anybody that has a business that they want to talk with us about to grow, and on a few occasions we've helped people that are exiting their businesses, maybe to sell, or for some other reason they're not wanting to keep doing that anymore. So if you do need help, or you want to access the resources that are available to you through both the Loudoun SBDC and its larger Virginia SBDC network, of which we're one of almost 30 different SBDC offices across the Commonwealth, you can register for counseling at that link there. And so what we're going to be doing today, and I'm going to go through the agenda in just a minute and some of the learning objectives, but I did want to highlight a couple of upcoming workshops that we have scheduled here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to touch on e-commerce today, but we also want to point out that we do have some training sessions that have in the past been very productive on e-commerce. It's an issue, I think, for any small business owner, is getting and retaining those key employees. And then finally, if you are a pre-venture startup or very early in your business, you might find the business bootcamp that we have coming up here in about a month of considerable interest and value. You can register for those and I think 90 plus other workshops that are available from our network within the SBDC at that link right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is jump into the agenda. I'm going to walk you through the learning objectives, then happily I'll shut up and let my esteemed guests introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their businesses. Then I'll be asking them a few questions, and at that time I would ask, you could certainly ask questions whenever you want, but if you want to ask questions yourself based on what you heard, if you look up to the, if you look at your the bar for this this Zoom, you'll see a box that says Q&A. If you'll click on that and enter your question, then my colleague Terry will pose your question. Either he'll respond to it electronically or he'll ask it of our guests. Then I mentioned at the tail end of our presentation, I'm going to ask Terry and Elise to give you some lessons learned. Then a little bit more technology. If you, I'm going to launch a poll. We try something new and different. We usually send a poll after one of these roundtables, but what we're going to do today, leveraging the technology that I just learned to use 20 minutes ago, we're going to ask you to give us your feedback as before, before we wrap up. And then finally, the manager of the Loudoun SBDC will come in. I don't think he's joined us yet. He has had another conflict. He's going to do some closing remarks around Loudoun SBDC. And if he doesn't, I will do it for him. All right, with that, let me dive into the learning objectives. So what we're going to do today is we're going to give you some tips, some recommendations, some pitfalls to avoid from the use of digital tools for business development, sales, or partnership creation. We're going to look, the guests that we have today will be able to talk both on the retail, B2C, as well as B2B, and maybe a little bit of B2G, business to government. We're going to talk about what your website's purpose is from the point of view of education, and why you want people to spend more time on your website. We'll touch on the role of email lists and the use of email. And then most importantly, I've asked every one of our esteemed guests to give you their experience with digital marketing in terms of not just adding new leads to their funnel, but also engaging with their customers so that they can get a larger share of pocket, meaning more from, because I'm sure you've all heard the old adage, the more, the cheapest customer to get is one you already have, and how they've employed that. With that, I'd like to open the floor and let Harish, if you're, there you are, yeah, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, Zenaviv, and just tell us a little bit about both you and Zenaviv, and then Lysandra, if you wouldn't mind, then Angie, and then Mark.
Thank you, Subodh. I'm Harish Bikmal. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zenaviv. Zenaviv is a social enterprise which is on a mission to improve the lives of people with autism by leveraging their hidden artistic talent. And we do so by using their talent to help businesses and larger organizations accelerate their culture of acceptance and appreciation for people with disabilities, especially with autism and neurodiverse conditions. So in a nutshell, right, we take the art of people with autism and create products and services out of it and sell them to the organizations. And a majority of the profits go back to the artists, boosting their self-esteem, providing some sort of a financial security, and most importantly, a hope for a better future. That is what we do at Zenaviv. And we started this because I have a son with autism, and we have seen the dramatic impact on him by the recognition of his art. And so the hope is, our plan is to bring similar kind of transformation in other individuals. I'd like to say a word about my experience about Loudon SBDC. I reached out to them with a question regarding financing during the COVID times. And what I got in return was not just about the finances, but some amazing strategic advice on several topics related to our business. And it has helped in many, many ways. In fact, Subodh and his team brought on several people from across the states to help with various aspects of our business. And I would like to really thank you, Subodh and Loudon SBDC for that. And let me say one thing is, in fact, some of his referrals led our company being accepted in one of the incubator programs in DC as well.
Thank you very much, Harish. I appreciate that. Lysandra, if you're ready, we'd love to get your just a little bit about yourself, more about your fantastic skincare institute, and then we'll. Well, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Subodh. So I just want to say, first of all, it's truly an honor to be able to be here with all of you. I own Reflections Image Center Skincare Institute. I am originally from Rochester, New York, and I moved down here about 20 years ago to Northern Virginia, Loudoun County. And I started off doing consulting, really a lot on the business process side of things, and found that some of my clients end up being derms and plastic surgeons. And that's where I really seemed to find my passion, was in the skincare arena with aesthetics, and just trying to understand how is it that, you can truly get the results, but also get the level of service. And that, working with my clients, I was able to learn a lot. And that's kind of what led me to Reflections Image Center Skincare Institute. We've been around for 10 years now, going on 10 years, I'm excited to say. And what Reflections is all about is look good, feel good, inside and out. For us, it started to come really easy to be able to get the results in terms of the outer appearance. But what we soon learned is that we didn't want just the outer appearance results. We wanted results that were long lasting. And so that's where we decided to do the Vitality Institute Wellness Center and combine that with our aesthetics and skincare. We have a team of licensed board certified medical professionals that help with our delivering our services. And it's truly been a journey. We are really fortunate to become members of the Small Business Development Center. In fact, we met Subodh at a time and his team at a time when we really did need direction and guidance. And I just cannot thank Subodh and his team enough for the value that they brought to our business. We're here today. I'm here today talking about, digital marketing and strategies, but I knew nothing about digital marketing or strategy. I mean, I knew about strategizing and operations, but I truly did not know anything when it came to digital technology. My website, I knew that I needed a good website. So starting off, that was one of the things that I did. I invested in a website. Didn't realize that I needed to really make sure that with my website, I stayed engaged with my clients and, really understood it. So in a nutshell, I'm here to kind of share with you my journey with digital marketing and technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Cassandra. I appreciate it. Angie?
Yes, hi, I'm Angie Toney. Thank you, Subodh. It's awesome to be invited to speak on behalf of Loudoun SBDC and share my journey to digitally. I am a CPA. I create strategies to solve problems, tax problems for business owners and to get the IRS off their backs and out of their pockets. I don't really do the regular volume tax work. I mostly focus on representation work, people who already have tax troubles. And then I lead into planning and finding strategies to minimize the liability, which what they were trying to do in the first place before they got into trouble. So hopefully my experience shared digitally will help you as well.
Thanks, Angie. Mark, you wouldn't mind closing the introductions and then we'll dive into the questions.
Hi, my name is Mark. I own Legacy Concerts. We're a concert production company based out of Virginia. We go into several territories, including Nashville and Baltimore and Richmond. And as a concert promoter, I'm responsible for negotiating a contract with the artist, marketing, handling the box office and ticketing, handling all the production and hospitality riders, executing the show day of, accepting ticket money, and then paying everyone out at the end and settling and accounting. So my experience at SBDC has been, I've been promoting events for about 10 years now. And in 2020, right prior to COVID, I found myself, instead of being in a partnership, restructuring and being the single owner of my LLC. So while I had been successfully promoting events for a very long time, I hadn't been doing all of the admin and back-end work of a company. So the coaching has been very helpful. The business plan development has been very helpful. I'm still very new to SBDC coaching, but I look forward to being more involved. And I appreciate being a part of this webinar.
Mark. All right, so let's dive in with some questions. Let me, there we go. Good. Okay, so our purpose here today is to help everybody that's participating. We now have 70 participants. Thank you all for sticking with us, to understand the techniques that you all have employed to improve both organic and paid lead generation. So first question I'll ask is, and this is, we'll start with you, Mark, if you don't mind. In your experience, what have you done to attract B2B, meaning using digital marketing to attract venues and locations, and then B2C to get the people that come to your events, or or buy a ticket online or something like that. And then I'll once you finish your answer, then I'll like Angie to talk primarily about her business attracting the different people that are in trouble with the IRS, which I'm very keen to hear about how to get out of trouble with the IRS, but that may be another conversation. And in particular, things you've done, research you've done before, this is mostly B2B, before that conversation takes place, how you communicate what sets you apart, which is largely a B2C question. If you've used digital to attract, to engage people that have already bought from you. And then sort of the last, and I'll repeat these questions again, so I expect you to remember all of them. It's a complicated question. And then what you've done using digital marketing to share what makes Legacy Concerts special and unique, or Angie, your business, and Harish, that's a particular question that I'd like you to spend a few minutes on, because you have such a unique value proposition. So with that, Mark, please.
Sure.
Ask you a really complicated question. Ask the best you can.
Sure, yeah, just try to keep me on track. So with our business to business, it's a little different. The businesses that we look to interact with are, like you said, venues, but also booking agents who represent artists. So my main focus is actually on working with and establishing connections with artist representatives and managers to make sure that they know that when they start working with us to have their artist come through Virginia, that the artist will get paid, the show will be at the appropriate room, the marketing will be done, they'll have a good time, the check will clear, all those things. And we do use some social media for that. We try to present ourselves with our website and our social media in a professional way, in a way that kind of shows, there's professional images and logos and language on there. But we do targeted advertising occasionally to say, is your artist not doing as well as it could in these states? We're the solution. And on occasion, that does work to generate business to business, but for the most part, our business to business is done through our CRM, which is Hive, which our ticketing company actually built, integrated into our ticketing platform, where we have Pixel plugged in, where we have our Facebook Business Manager plugged in, all of our past ticket sales plugged in, also through, I use an app on my Gmail called Boomerang, which is not at all digital marketing, but it kind of helps me remember, to follow up with people and check back in. As far as the business to customers, I like to think of us as being a promoter is kind of a nebulous concept. It's kind of vague. No one really goes to livenation.com, but they may, and no one really goes to legacyconcerts.co, but they may search their favorite band on YouTube to see a live video. They may interact with an Instagram ad that they have new merch coming out. They may interact with a Facebook giveaway or something like that. Our job is to pull all of those sources together to promote similar artists and similar events in the area where these people live. So it's about, for us, casting the widest net possible. So plugging in, so getting business access to artists' pages to get the best info about their demographics, having Facebook Pixel and Google and tracking pixels in every ticket link that we have, our website, having a sign-up form on our website that pops up, having email automations through our CRM where someone goes to buy a ticket, doesn't hit checkout, and then leaves. So they get pestered until they finish buying the ticket. And then trying to add value where we have, merchandise and different add-ons like parking and things that you can get through the venues that we try to discount from time to time. And we follow the 80-20 rule where 20% of our customers really supply 80% of our business. So it's about selling them upgrades, VIPs, other concerts. We do that through, again, like taking the net, trying to see who buys tickets, trying to extrapolate that out into lookalike audiences and A/B testing then, and then casting the net, having people see it, and then retarget the people who are interacting with us. I may have missed the other parts of the question, but hopefully that was helpful.
That's very helpful. And I'm going to come back, but I want to give Angie a chance to talk, but I do have a couple questions we'll follow up on. Angie, would you mind talking about your approach to, I would think largely B2B selling, right? For you?
Yes, so I'm not as prone to throw a wide cast, if you will. I'm more focused. So one of the most important things was picking a niche so that I could stick directly to that and target in. Being in the right directory, if you can imagine, it's maybe embarrassing to some to say, I have a tax problem. So they're not really going to come out there and say that to you. They more have to find me. So I'm going to find ways to put myself out there as an expert in dealing with resolution issues, and so that they'll be willing to reach out personally and then get attached. So that's how we're going to connect. And that's why I have to have the resources to have that, where the website, the CRMs, anything like that, where they can find me. A quality directory is very good. I find myself listed in a few directories that are very helpful. So you have to find the one that works. If I had to do it again, I would have built up my Google page probably a lot better, because after you've delivered quality results to clients, the reviews are, I don't even have to tell you how invaluable they are. So you have to have a place to send them. So I had other directories where I got some reviews, but then they got lost in that particular directory because no one goes there. So you have to find the place where you're going to have a presence, where they will find you, and you have to make yourself approachable, where the right people will want to talk to you, because accountants have a way of kind of talking over your head and making you feel incompetent, or maybe not so smart, or ashamed that you got yourself into these tax issues. So it's all in the way you present yourself as well.
Got it. Thank you. I'm going to come back. I just want to give Harish a chance to answer the first question. I can restate it, Harish, if you would like, or if you got it, go right ahead. You're on mute.
Yeah, let me take a shot at it and let me know if I'm way off the target. So, at Zenaviv, what we do is to help organizations accelerate their culture of disability inclusion. And we do so by using a unique and a new way. So given that it's a very unique and new solution, we have taken a very different approach. Instead of trying to go for the numbers, we have focused on the quality of the relationship with each of our customers, so that we can get feedback early and we can iterate on our products. And then our focus, secondly, has been on delivering the best value to each customer, so that we get referral clients as well. So as a result, given all this out of the gate, we decided, although we are a startup, we decided to adopt kind of a, account-based marketing kind of principles. So basically, we focus on fewer prospects and customers based on their size and immediacy of the need. So from a B2B marketing with this background and with these needs, so we have used two tools, right? One is Google Alerts, and the second one is LinkedIn. The Google Alerts we have set up several alerts to help identify companies who are actively hiring people with disabilities and are talking about. So we want to, we know that there's something of immediate need for them. And LinkedIn help us, we use LinkedIn, not just like typical use of searches and alerts, but we go ahead and more importantly, use it to research the leaders in the diversity space in the company and other people in the company who may be inclined to or related to indeed to these solutions, or there could be some people who might object, right? So we learn about them, and that helps us with tailoring the content specifically, and more importantly, tailoring the solution to them that we have. So that's what we have gone ahead and done. So does that make sense? Answer your question?
It does. Thank you. And I will be coming back after Lysandra has a chance to talk about her business and how she's approached both largely, I would think, B2C, business to consumer, getting people to come in or buy home therapeutic products, but also if there's a B2B component. I'd like you to touch on that as well, please, Lysandra.
Sure. So our industry is somewhat unique in the sense that, like you said, we do deal with business to business as well as business to consumer. On the business to business side, it's really making sure that we understand, what the verticals are out there. Like, are our clients, are they looking, where do we find them? Where do they go? Right. So in doing that, one of the things that we had to understand is where we are at right now. What are some of the issues we're having in terms of reaching our consumers as well as our business owners? The biggest thing that we found was an issue was that we didn't have any presence out there. We have very limited presence. So when you talk about a consumer that is looking for personal goods, look good, feel good is our model, and making sure that they know that there's that connection there. How do you reach them? And that was one of the things. We didn't have a digital marketing strategy. One of the things that we did have that was working really well for us is that we were getting really good results for our clients, right? So we had to then say, how do we get that information out there? Similar to what Angie was saying, like, how do you let your customers know? How do you share your positive results with from your customers to others? In our industry, it's a very private, very personable. So it's not something where people are going to go out there and say, oh, I look this way because I just had Botox done, or I'm feeling great because I just got a injection, So it's something where, how do you reach those individuals where it's getting the information out there, but you're also at the same time, you're able to, sorry.
Okay, take your time.
You're also able to continue to grow and develop and show all that you're able to bring to the table. So for us, again, let me step back for a second. Let me start all over. So digital marketing, I think I shared with you guys, is not my area of expertise at all. But I will tell you what I do know. I do know about skincare. I do know about what makes my clients feel good and look good. So the biggest challenge for me was, how do I reach those individuals so that they can understand the services and the products that we provide? I was clueless. So the first thing that I did, I was connected to Subodh and his team, and they helped me to reach out to other resources that could help me. So for example, working on my website and understanding, how do I utilize my website? How do I get those customers to put reviews on my website? How do I, get those social media posts out there? How do I let my clients know that, I'm available, that they can reach out to us, and we're on the leading edge of technology. We can't just say it. How do we show it? And how do we get out there? So for someone like me, not having any experience in this industry, I needed to really understand how to create a digital marketing plan. So what did I do? One, I got with subject matter experts that could help me. So the first thing that I did is I worked on our website. So now, we're in the process of having where our website is very interactive. Our clients, the reviews that they put out there will automatically go through Google, or whatever they put on Google or Yelp. Well, we can also have it on our website. They can reach us. They'll be able to reach us through our Facebook page, through posting, Instagram, through our promotions and emails that we put out there. We've seen a big increase in sales, and mainly it's been because we've had clients that we've had clients that have called us and said, "Hey, you guys have great reviews," and we're like, "Really? Where'd you see those reviews at?" They've seen them online. So digital marketing does work, and it does work for someone like me that just didn't know how to do any of it. So I don't know all the semantics behind digital marketing, but I will tell you this as a small business owner, that in my industry, digital marketing is a requirement. If you don't know it, get with the right individuals and the professionals that can help you put a strong plan in place, and your business will grow. And that's what we've been seeing. And we're continuously learning and growing, and trying to share best practices as we learn them. I hope I answered your question.
You did. I have a follow-up question, and this is directed at Angie and Mark and you, Harish, and then I have a different question for you, Lysandra. So the question is, I heard you mention CRMs. I heard you mention email. And I'd like you to talk about what how you've used email and how you've used your CRM. I think you mentioned, Mark, you mentioned Hive. I know, Angie, you have a new CRM. I know when we spoke last, I think it was HubSpot, but I think you've changed. And then Harish, I'm curious to see if you're using any, you mentioned LinkedIn and, capturing information and account-based marketing. I'm interested to hear how you're using email to engage prospects or to deepen your relationship with customers. Let me start with Angie, and then Harish, and then Mark.
I'm going to preface this part with be careful what you wish for, right? Because let's say you listen to everything here and you put everything in place, all your digital marketing is working, and there comes the funnel. And guess what? You're going to have an explosion of people, clients that you can hardly manage. You have to have this infrastructure in place. So here comes the CRM. Because I tell you, all the clients are going to start sounding the same. The two married filing joint, they're all sets of chiropractors. Both the husband's named Scott, and then they have the same number of children, and then they're all the same. It's like, what did I say? Then you're going to start mixing them up, and here comes your CRM to kind of put some organization into this. It really, if you connect it with your email, you have a whole string of conversations, everything is all logged. Your meetings are logged, your emails are logged, your calls are logged, and you can recall what you said last to that client and manage your deadlines, of course. But I was using HubSpot, yes, when I was speaking to Subodh, but one of the things I learned in my profession, especially I have cybersecurity rules, and I have to be HIPAA compliant because I have medical professionals as my clients. So HubSpot, I had to sadly leave it, or I am leaving it because it cannot manage the data. So if you're going to get a CRM, you have to think about your industry. And it's not easy. Can I tell you, it is not easy to transition when you start filling up a lot of history in one CRM and then you have to switch. So really think thoroughly and carefully before you choose one. Speak to other people in your industry maybe, and then understand what the requirements are in your profession so that you're in compliance, right? Ethics, compliance, all of those things are highly important. When you're having to manage data that's very sensitive. So that's my number one thing I would tell you, just choose wisely when you go ahead, but you have to get one because you're going to grow and you're not going to remember these people, and you're going to look bad that you're not paying attention to what all clients want to feel special, right? You have to feel like, oh, well, she talked to me. She still remembered me from 2 months ago. Very difficult to get to my age too. You can't remember everything. So your CRM is your cheat sheet. That's what I have to say about CRM.
If I was allowed to applaud, I would agree with you. I would totally. Sorry, Harish. I just,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Sure. On the B2B front, because we have fewer customers, about 60 to a little over 60. So far we just use Microsoft Excel, that's our CRM, so to speak, but it's becoming unwieldy to some extent. And so we are planning to actually move to HubSpot. And email, we use email primarily as a part of a multi-touch campaign with every prospect or a lead out there. Our campaigns are basically 8 to 9 touch points, including emails, LinkedIn, and phone calls. That's what we use in the B2B space. And on the B2C space, we have a few products which are available on our website, or one of them is on Amazon. So we do a little bit of email marketing, but not a whole lot on that. It's just monthly emails after somebody is on it for, when they come on board to sign up, they have a couple of emails from us, but after that it's monthly touch point.
I got you. Thank you. So Mark, well, if you could talk about email as it relates to your, it sounded like primarily people that have bought from you before, or that are in the unenviable situation, not having bought from you, you want to hound them to the point that they do.
Sure. I saw in the Q&A, what is CRM? It stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's a software where you have all your customers and you can see everything about them, get analytics, and communicate with them. There are some that are more robust than others. Then we mentioned Salesforce before. You don't need like this giant, expensive, custom built out Salesforce. Some people use MailChimp or, whatever keeps your customers organized.
Get response. So there's a long list. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Sure. Right. Thank you for the clarification. I overlooked that. Thank you.
Sure. So we use Hive. Hive is essentially built for event coordinators and promoters. Unlike a lot of the, we deal with bulk. So we just want to hit up as many people as possible. It takes about 7 to 10 points of contact to make someone take action. So if you think about those numbers we're doing shows with 500 to 1,000 people. It's a lot of communication. So we've built funnels with existing customers to make sure that they are seeing zip code targeted, genre targeted announcements, promo codes. And in our CRM dashboard, we can see, our most valuable people, people that we need to reach back out to because they're about to become inactive because they haven't opened a certain amount of emails ever. And we can set up automations. We can also just manually send emails. We do like a monthly blast to everybody. We do weekly blasts to targeted segments. And we really want to make sure that our most valuable customers are getting the most attention. So they're the ones that will get like very advanced tickets before everyone else, something that's going to sell out in a day. They'll get VIPs earlier than everyone else. They'll get, when a show is not selling well, we'll send them the free tickets to make sure that they fill up the room and at least the bar maybe does some numbers. But through that platform, I'm able to see, a dollar value to each customer, whereas before, we would just be sending out these blasts and paying for advertisements with no idea the conversion or dollar amount.
Those most valuable customers, how do they know that they're your most valuable customer? How do they, other than obviously they get certain offers, but how do they know?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know if any of them are aware how much money they spend on concert tickets each year.
So you don't say things like you're a VIP or you're a legacy concert VIP. You don't have something that
currently we're very sure. Currently, our company is actually very new, and we've only been in operation for a month and a half following COVID since we've been open.
I realize that I was thinking maybe if you thought back to the previous.
we didn't actually have access to our CRM then. So this is all new. And so I definitely want to do that. Say, hey, you're our most valuable customer. Send your t-shirt size, we'll send you a free t-shirt or something like that. But I think that's down the line. But yeah, that's definitely great to tell people that they're loyal and appreciated.
When you're ready, reach out to us and at least we'll tell you, give you some good hints on that. Thank you. Lysandra, a question for you. You said that your website and your content and the material that you present is critical because people are going to make a decision in the privacy of their own home before they come see you, and the reviews help. And so I'd like you to, if you could, talk a little bit about what you've done to educate people on the potential for the skincare services and the aesthetic services that you mentioned. If you could talk about how people can self-educate using your website, that would be very helpful.
Sure. So our website is really has been a great tool to help educate in terms of the treatments, the conditions, the services that we offer. We really go in depth with the content. So that way, when you're looking at our website and you're trying to understand about a treatment or a condition that you're having, because really we focus on what's going on with your skin, or if you're dealing with aging. So you go to our website and you literally can get a lot of information, from content to before and afters. We have some testimonials on there. We have blogs. One of the other things that we do as well is we do articles. I do a lot of online articles with like Your Health magazine, which is really focused on what's happening with your skin, what kind of products you should use. And we get a lot of engagement from that. We really do. In fact, when individuals take a look at our website, they're like, wow, we learned a lot from just looking at your website. It gave us a lot of information. So that helps. One of the things that we're working on, though, is taking that and making it so that we can really be able to use that to go across the various platforms that are out there, from, being able to get it incorporated in Facebook or posts and things like that. So, because that's really where a lot of our audience is. They are looking at their Instagram. They want to see those before and afters. They want to see those galleries. So we're learning how to take that, because we have a lot of it. And that's one of the advantages that we do have, is that, starting off, we focused a lot on making sure that we educated our clients so that they really knew what was going on.
Got it. Angie, I have a follow-up question for you. And then Terry, once Angie's had an opportunity to respond, I'd like you to, if there's any questions from the audience, ask those questions. So Angie, the question for you is, you mentioned that you have a lot of constraints around what you can say, privacy of the information. You mentioned HIPAA, plus it's a very personal thing. Not that things that Lysandra does for her clients is not very personal, but people don't want to acknowledge that the tax man's after them. How do you approach education with your approach to digital marketing, be that website, be that email, and so that you can educate somebody without, I suppose, giving them tax advice? I mean, is that a constraint? Forgive my ignorance, but I'm just, it feels like you have a slightly more complex educational challenge.
Sure, but you can do it. There are definitely general topics, trending topics. Oh, ERC, PPP loans. Can I hire my children? Look at TikTok. There's a flurry of them, of bad, misinformation out there for people, for business owners. And they're saying, oh, I heard I can hire my dog or whatever. They have all these things. People are very creative. But here I am. I'm going to do a live, maybe. Okay, I don't love live so much, but maybe I'll do a recorded video. I'll have my YouTube channel and I'll talk like the expert. I'll pick the topic, especially this tax season. I'll hear something that I hear all the time with clients. Small business owners will always say, oh, when do I elect S Corp? And then I can talk about that. And then when somebody, a business owner may consider electing S Corp, and then what things need to be in place in general, things like that. And payroll, how much should I pay myself? When do I reconcile my books? How do I know when I need a bookkeeper? And I can pick the general topic, the general problem, like this year, very popular right now, advanced child credit, right? We get this child tax credit, and a lot of people are getting them in advance. And so now they're like, oh, this is great. But they think when they file next year, big surprise, you're not going to get it again. Your refund is going to go down. And so we're expecting, a lot of my colleagues are expecting this problem. So you pick that topic and you speak to it. And it's very easy to educate. And of course, if people want additional information, I actually do have a complimentary strategy session. A lot of my colleagues don't do that. No, you got to pay to talk to me. But I think people should be educated. I think education should be free. And in a lot of cases, I have to educate my clients because they make better clients. The ones who don't know what they're doing will drain me. This is not a pay and go away type of service. You have to be in tune with your money in small business. And so you have to know, you don't have to get a degree in accounting or be a CPA, but you do have to understand your numbers.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's as a small business owner, I resemble that remark. Terry, anything from the people that are participating that you want to ask any of are there any questions from the audience? We lost Terry. Are we still on? Terry? Can't hear you. Guess there's no questions from the audience.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, sorry about that. Somehow my microphone got switched over. Anyway, so Angie, there's a question from Ryan asking, you earlier talked about directories that you found useful, directories that you didn't find useful. What do you mean by directory, and can you give specific examples? Is that like Angie's List or something like that?
Yeah, great question. So so you can have different organizations that you participate. For example, I am a certified tax coach. They have their own directory. And in fact, after I finished that designation, they did what you call a blast out to Loudoun Times, let's say, and then I'll be listed there. But they alert clients that here's this directory. If you want to find a tax coach, you can go to this directory and find it. Then there's another subscription that I have to a tax publication, and he has his own. And the great thing about that directory is he markets to small business owners. And then he'll talk all these strategies, oh, you could elect this or you can do that. And then they're like, who's going to help me with this? And then, well, here I have this directory where, Angie's very versed in what I teach, and you can find me here. Then, of course, you have Black directory for your African-American people are listed. Loudoun County has a great one right now. So, just try to get around, find the publication that you like or people subscribe to, and get yourself listed. Professional directories.
Thank
and
you.
It sounds like there has to be a call to action, Angie, in the directory, like you're a business coach, you're giving out, a little bit of counseling to help them so that there's a reason why they should reach out to you.
Exactly. So the seed is already planted with the things that they need to know in their small business, but you don't know how to do it by yourself. So you better ask this professional right here.
Understood. Mm-hmm. Terry, sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. Angie, I just wanted to follow up. You're talking at the end there about video and YouTube channel in terms of doing education. How did you decide to start doing video based digital content?
I see other people do it. I see other people do it. And also within your profession, there's Facebook groups galore, and we talk to each other and we hear consistent problems. There's a need for it. And then I started seeing other people do. I did the lives. I don't particularly care for live. because, you know, in my profession, you have to be very careful what you say, right? There's a lot of libel. Well, she said that, and I went and I did, and I got into trouble, and the next thing they're going to sue you. So you want to make sure that you're advising correctly. So if I'm going to tell you, I think you should deduct mileage on your tax return, or you can have a home office or whatever, I want to know that I said something correct to you. I just did a post on how to fill out a W-4. I got that question all year. Since the reform, people have been putting the wrong things on their W-4 and having too much withheld or too little withheld. And so I said, well, you know, I'll just do a video. And then I actually walked through the IRS's qualifier, or their estimator, that's what they call it, to come up with how to fill out a form or things like that. And, you know, you just hear the trends, you can Google what people talking about. And I have all these publications and subscriptions, and you know the topic. And so you speak to that.
Great. So, Bod, we have another question, I think probably geared towards Lysandra. The question's from Tammy. She's asking, how do you remain FDA compliant while marketing commercial speech around your medical services?
That's a great question. And in fact, one of the things that we've recently done is we've recently brought in someone that helps us with our HIPAA compliance, actually Anthony Timbers. That's one of the things that they specialize in. But prior to that, we made sure that whatever we put out there, we make sure that, well, we run it by the attorney first. But in our industry, because it is medical, we have to make sure it's HIPAA compliant. So we're not able to put out any personal information, any names or anything like that. So that's a great question. In terms of the FDA, you know, with products and skincare, the nice thing is whatever products we use, the manufacturers, we have safety data sheets that have all the information in there, and we make sure that we're able to post the information and put that out there. So we really make sure that, you know, we kind of dot all the I's and cross all the T's and go to the right sources to make sure we're putting the correct information out there.
Thank you, Lysandra. Terry, more questions?
We've got a couple more here. One is from Solerman. They ask, they've got a brand new startup and need to generate leads. What are your thoughts on purchasing email addresses through a database? It's a good question.
Who's that directed at, Terry? Or is that for everybody?
That's for everybody.
Okay. Mark, do you want to answer that first? Would you buy email lists and use them? I think is the question, right?
Sure. Yeah, so we actually have this issue sometimes with ticket buyers. So we have all of our email lists organically, but there have been times where companies are going out of business to do what we do, and there's the potential there to buy, you know, ticket buyer lists. I haven't. Sometimes, you know, like if you look at your mass email open rates, a 10% open rate is great, 15% is great. So I'm not sure how valuable it would be. I guess it might depend on the industry. There's also all these, you know, I don't know a lot about the legality of selling and trading email lists and personal information. So a lot of times when we ask clubs that do the ticketing, hey, can we have the email list for the event that we just did? You sold the tickets. They say no. Or, you know, they give us access to maybe their Facebook audience page, but we don't get that actual like CSV file of emails. I don't really have a hard stance either way. I guess it might depend on your industry.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add to that, speaking from the industry, because that is so true, Mark, because their public records are tax liens, right? And I have colleagues who purchase them because they have time to sift through this client, and I don't have time for that. And I consider my practice more relationship oriented. Like I like to like my clients, because it's very draining when a client is not serious about their tax issue, and it makes it more work for me. So that's why I don't buy general lists. I'm more focused and targeted and deal mostly with with referrals, or if people find me in a directory, that means they're serious and they contacted me, more serious. But those lists, I've had colleagues complain, oh, this guy, I called him, and because they have, just because they have a tax lien doesn't mean they want to solve it. It'll just stay there. So in that instance, I wanted to add to your comment about the industry.
Thanks, Angie.
Yes, so both, can I ask sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Harish.
Just wanted to add a point there, right? I agree with Mark about his, organic list versus buy list. But I think in my experience in the consumer industry in the past, rather than buying a list, the better ROI is to partner with people who have large lists and work with them, that find complementary partners with given your business and use their list and market to them. I think that's a much better ROI and a quicker ROI than buying lists.
Thank you. Sandra, question to you. Have you used email lists? Would you use an email list if you were starting out?
So yes, I would use an email list of starting out. Absolutely. And, I just want to kind of go back to what I was going to say previously. So in terms of, one of the things that we do also to gather emails is we, like Harish was saying, we will partner and team with other organizations, and we'll do some things that are complementary. And that helps us to, go ahead and be able to send information directly out. What we have to be careful of, though, especially because of the industry that I'm in, is, again, it goes back to the compliance issue. So we use a software program that whenever we are sending out any emails, we have to make sure that they are opted in. That's a big thing, even with text. So text messaging is great. And for a lot of industries, that's the way to go because everyone's using text. For our industry, it can be a little difficult because even if they've said, yes, you can send them an email, you must send something out to make sure that they'll give you approval to text them. So, we found that emails are a lot easier for us, especially because, the software that we use. And we're also working now with a company that really will help us to make sure that when individuals come to our website and they want information, then they leave their email addresses, right? So we're trying to really understand the whole digital arena. So that way we can really, capitalize on the opportunities to reach out directly to those clients, consumers that are interested in our services. So yes, to your question, we definitely would use an email list, but it has to be an email list that's specifically targeted to those individuals that are interested in our services because we are in a niche market.
Terry, if you could ask one more question, and I want to circle back on a few things, and then we'll save a few minutes at the end for any other questions that come in. So did any more questions come in?
Yeah, there's two more questions.
Well, okay, let's go ahead and do both of them now. Then
all right. So the first one is from Sarah, and she's asking, what's a good kind of beginning budget for digital marketing? Lysandra, you might have insight into that since this is very fresh in your mind.
So one of the things that we did for trying to understand what's the best way to do it, and I will tell anyone this, you really got to look at, are you saying start off, right? Someone that's just starting off, is she saying that she's just starting off? Or is she already established?
I think it sounds like a startup who's just getting going and trying to figure out what they should budget for digital. Okay,
good question. So one of the things she has to do is she has to look at really what she has to have a plan. She has to have a forecast. I mean, you have to sit down and you have to do a budget. That's the biggest thing I would say. And then, I like to look at a 3-to-1 ratio in terms of what you're putting out there to capture, because sales is everything, right? So if she's trying to capture sales through digital marketing, then I would tell her to go ahead and at least allot 10% of whatever her budget is, start off with 10% and then see how that goes over time.
10% meaning if she's expecting to make $50,000, she should put 5 in, because
Absolutely.
if she's an absolute startup, she doesn't have any. Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Because you have to put something in to get it back. It's just, we found that out. So yes,
And you mentioned a 3-to-1 ratio. What's that 3-to-1?
that 3-to-1 ratio is if she's already established. So that wouldn't really
Okay.
apply to her.
Got it.
Then I get one other member of the roundtable to respond to that question. Then I want to move on to the next question from Terry. Mark or Harish or Angie, do you want to offer an opinion on how much money you should put in or what percentage of, well, maybe that's a great question for you, Mark, because you had been doing this for a month and a half. So Mark, please, sorry, I made the decision, executive decision.
All right. So we have two different kinds of campaigns that we run, one for each event. And then we're actually fortunate to have onboarded a marketing agency to run a lot of our bigger events. But we do general brand awareness campaigns. For us, we'll be kind of tepid. We'll spend $100 on an event and then analyze. And if you're not getting a good click-through rate, a good conversion rate, you're not, you see a lot, your ads aren't delivering, you make adjustments. So I coming from a startup with very little capital, when I started doing events, it's very important to know what you're doing, so you're not just throwing money away, because Facebook and Google are more than happy to take your money. But it is, if you have the option to hire someone, that's good. If you want to do some Facebook Blueprint courses and learn about that, that's good too. But for me, we start out about $100 an event, and then we go from there. Is it already selling well? Will this push it over the top? Are we just wasting our money? Does no one care about this event at all? And this is just throwing money away because it's not going to do well regardless. These are adjustments that we make all the time. And for the general brand awareness, if we're not increasing our followers from the campaign, then we just kind of scrap it, because it's more important for us to have the events do well than it is for us to have a big following, if that makes sense. Like a lot of our advertising is from the artist pages themselves, not from our brand.
So you're promoting an artist, and the fact that Legacy Concerts is the entity that fulfills their tickets and so on is immaterial, and people aren't going to say, like you said earlier on, Live Nation nobody cares about. They just do that so they can get tickets.
Yeah, I don't think anyone goes to a concert because we're putting it on, or because someone else is putting it on. I think they want to see the artist. So we try to utilize their existing. Well, so it's different from us because we can get access to their Facebook accounts and audiences, and then build off of that. So we're starting from somewhere instead of just guessing. So, yeah.
Thank you. Terry, if we can, the last question, and what looks like Sandra was gonna.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what Mark said, because this is something that I ended up learning. It's very important, like he said, in terms of what you spend, and most important, I think, that we discovered is understanding your verticals. Meaning, is your clients, are your customers, are they the Facebook customers? Are they the Instagram customers? Where are they? Because that's where your marketing dollars should be spent. That's very important, because oftentimes you will, take it and just try to cast a wide net, and that's not going to get you what you need. You really need to understand where your customer base is. And that goes into understanding what your verticals are in the digital arena.
Thank you very much. Terry, was there any other questions?
Yep, one last question. I think we'll point this one at Harish. Kind of more of a B2B kind of question. This is from Don. He's asking, what does your sales funnel look like from first contact to sales? So I guess segmentation within your funnel, how do you manage and identify customers at various levels of the sales process, and what does that look like?
So our sales funnel is pretty front loaded. What do I mean by that is we do a lot of qualification in terms of selecting the targets, right? As I mentioned earlier, we look for two key things: the size of the company and the immediacy of their need. So that helps us, given the small business we are and fewer resources, that helps us in higher hit ratio, right? Conversion ratio later. And our sales funnel, as I said, will basically be typically a lead, where from lead, once we get some hint or a clue that they're going to work, we just have 2 or 3 steps in the process, is to present a very custom solution to them, which is after a lot of research on our end. And from there, wait for their response. And what we also do is follow up a few times, about 8 to 10 times, and leave it. We don't do a whole lot of a long, structured, canned sales funnel effort. It's very, very custom to each client.
So you target the client and then curate your content even before. You do a great deal of research before that first conversation even takes place.
Exactly. I mean, there will be many a times we spend a few weeks on somebody and then we realize that, oops, this may not be the right connection, but that's okay. We spend it up front and then pursue them.
I want to open that question out because I think it's a really strong question. Alessandra, Mark, or Angie, do you want to offer a thought? Otherwise, I'd like to move on to an area we haven't covered yet, which is influences. Anybody want to weigh in, or can we move on to the influencer question?
You mentioned about influencers.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to go on to the influencer question. So since you've got the floor, Harish, if you could talk about that, and then Lysandra, if you could give me your, because I know you've done a good bit with the local influencers, and then Mark, to the degree, I think it'll be interesting to hear what you have to say about that marketplace too. Angie, I have another question for you, so if you don't mind, I want to just get Harish first, Lysandra second, and Mark third, and then I want to ask you a different question.
Yeah, so we have used influencers both in the B2B space and B2C space in a very different way. In the B2B space, we reach out to the experts and the influencers both and get on their articles and get on their posts on LinkedIn. That helps with inbound for us. That is one. But on the B2C side, what we do is, for the most part, we partner with influencers to drive traffic to Amazon, to our product, right? And it's generally an affiliate relationship. Sometimes there is no financial relationship with them.
What would be the kind of influencer that you target? I mean, who would be a good influencer for Zenaviv?
So for us, the influencers are basically in the autism space, right? Our low-hanging fruit, so to speak, are parents of people with autism who are basically following some of these influencers for various reasons. So we typically go to them, and many a times these influencers are also parents of kids with autism. And then the product that we have on Amazon is a jigsaw puzzle made from artistic art. So we also go to influencers in the jigsaw puzzle space, both. Okay,
gotcha. Thank you. Lysandra, would you talk about how you used influencers in the past, or how you are using them currently?
So in the past, with the influencers, especially on the B2B side, a lot of it was we would just meet with them. I'd have meetings and kind of share some things and even have events, but we never utilized that to drive it into the digital arena in terms of getting the leads to our websites or even leveraging their platform. Same thing with our clients, B2C. So what we've done recently, though, I would say in the last several months, and we've actually seen a great improvement with that. In the last several months, we've actually taken those relationships because we have great influencers. On the B2B side, we've taken those relationships and we've said, okay, we are going to leverage your platform to drive the traffic into our websites. We're going to leverage the fact that you have a large following that we can now drive into some of our platforms, our social media, our Facebook. On the B2C side, what we've done is we've taken our clients that are happy with their services and love the results that they get. And they've actually posted on their own platforms, whether that's Facebook or Instagram. And we've been able to utilize that to drive traffic towards us. So it's been great. You know, and the interesting thing is we've had these relationships for years, but to really be able to see how you can take those relationships when you're applying it into the digital arena, it's amazing. And so again, this is a small business owner, doesn't have much experience with digital marketing, but had the relationships, has the knowledge in terms of the services and products that we do deliver, but did not have the tools to, you know, really go ahead and have the digital marketing presence that we needed. And now in just several months, we've really seen quite an improvement in our sales and even in our clients. I mean, we're getting calls continuously from individuals that are like, oh my gosh, I went to your website, I saw your reviews, and it's great. It's really wonderful. So for those of you that are listening that are small businesses that have no idea what you're doing on the digital marketing side, get with Subodh and his team. That's all I'm going to say. I had to put that plug in, sorry.
Thank you. You're so sweet. That's actually.
So thank you. But before
you want to get
money,
to a lease. You want to get to a lease to get there.
So yeah, the thing is, if you're starting a business and you don't know what to do with your money, please, before spending any money there, the digital marketing place, talk with us. We schedule a meeting. We need to know your product first, your service, and you can help you with this because you can start organic and you can start every time with partnerships. So probably you have another ways before start spending money.
Well said. Thank you, Elise. Mark, do you want to talk about the artist as influencers, or do you use, talk a little bit about how you utilize influencers to drive ticket sales?
Sure. There's a couple aspects to this business to business. We actually, we have all the artists at a location. So brands will reach out to us from time to time and say, hey, I have a headphone company. I have, Audible wants to shoot an ad in the green room, whatever it is. So we end up kind of being mediators between that. If they want to do a commercial or something with the artist, or they want to give the artist some product, sometimes we can work that in to make a more agreeable deal for us, with the space rental. We do a lot of parties, 90s nights, throwback nights, boy band night is a new thing. And we do those pages. We use these, like the Taylor Swift fan pages on Instagram that have 2-3 million followers. We pay them to post the flyers, and tickets are great. Or we have someone famous make a TikTok about one of our events and it blows up. So I'm not super in tune to that. Usually I have someone else tell me what works and what doesn't, and what TikTok is good and what's awful. But that tends to help. Sometimes if a concert's struggling and it's locally based or something, I'll see if I can get some people who have local influence, friend groups, etc., to just post a flyer, give some tickets away, something like that.
You were control of influences. That's fantastic.
They said a lot of buzzwords and hip things that, pretending to know about.
I'll have to ask you about TikTok sometime. Okay. Sorry. Totally off track. The idea of TikTok, and it just tickles me. My kids want to use it. Angie, question for you. Because you made mention of trying to keep straight all of the different people that are in your CRM and the struggle you have now moving to another CRM. What guidance would you give around dashboards, scorecards, or any other tactical guidance or recommendations you would have for business owners that are scoring clients in their CRM or keeping track? Because I love what you were describing, but I think it would be helpful to, what would you recommend is like a minimum dashboard?
Minimum dashboard. Yes. So this is serious. And it's a great question, because I've been trying to build a dashboard that makes sense for me. What you always hear is, I'm busy, but I'm not getting anything done, right? A lot of it seems like you're doing a lot of things, but you don't feel very productive. So you have to have this schedule. So what I'm building now and by the way, it's in my tax software that I haven't gotten rid of HubSpot totally because I love it, but we'll see how that's going to work. But when I come in the morning, I want to be able to see on this dashboard all my active engagements. I need to see deadlines. I need to know if I got to call the IRS today and or the state or whatever I have to do, because this is a very deadline driven profession. If I miss a deadline, it can cost my client hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I have to be able to manage the deadline. So that's at a minimum I need to see on that dashboard, all my active projects, who they're assigned to, the dates, and then I can go from there. Because you can add on this, your receivables, your payables, whatever, anything you want to manage within your business that you got to stay on top of. So the dashboards are huge, very important. They can be illustrated if you want graphs and all that, or just dates for me, baby. Just that'll keep me right on point.
Thank you. Okay, so this is going to be a round robin because very quick, minute or so each. If you had a chance to do things differently, I'm sorry, let me stop. After that, Terry, I'd like you to give the lessons learned recap, Elise lessons learned recap, and then Eric lessons learned recap, just a couple of minutes each. But before we get to the opinion of the Loudon SBDC counseling team, I'd like to ask you just a minute, 90 seconds. If you could have done, if looking back from the beginning of your business, what would you have done differently now that you look, if you had the chance to do it over again? And I'm going to start, since Angie's up front, if you wouldn't mind starting, Angie, and then Mark, and then Lysandra, and then Harish.
Yeah.
So please, Angie.
Yeah, I would have vetted my tools a lot better, meaning the CRM and so on. And if I couldn't afford it initially as I'm starting my practice, I would find a software that would work for me and build. So for example, my tax software, that's number one for me. And then I would look at a software package or a suite of products that maybe, okay, now you've grown, you need the practice management piece, add that, add the portal, or add, the CRM or whatever else, you need to add on. Because as I said before, as you transition from one to another is a lot of work. And it's to have to do that and execute at the same time, not going to happen. The infrastructure, you're going to lose, people are going to drop, you're going to drop the ball somewhere. The infrastructure has to be set. And I'm going to say it again. You're going to get what you wish for. If you wish for more pipeline, you're going to get it. And then you better have that infrastructure, because at the end of the day, you want to deliver quality. And
Understood.
so that's why your tools have to work for you.
Thank you so much. That's a great point to end on. Mark?
Yeah, I would have hired someone or taken some trainings or something, because common sense would tell you are doing a rock concert, you target a boost of the event page to 50 miles out of your radius to people who like Nickelback, and you spend $200 and Facebook says you're going to reach 3 million people. And you think, wow, I'm crushing it on my advertising. And instead, I went and took a Facebook Blueprint course and realized that there are lots of things I didn't know about. Facebook Business Manager is a confusing nightmare. So you do have to do some basic trainings on that if you're going to spend any money. So you're not just throwing it away. And then there are practices that you wouldn't even think to do, like retargeting, using video content, retargeting to people who interact with that video content, that there are professionals that do that. And then there are courses, maybe not so much, I'm not endorsing any paid courses, but maybe just basic articles or basic help that you can do. If you spend enough on Facebook, they'll actually contact you and walk you through for free certain aspects. All my advertising starts on Facebook just because it's the most powerful database of people's interest out there. But I spent a lot of money learning and just kind of doing really ineffective advertising. So I kind of wish that I would have gotten some help earlier, or maybe utilize the SBDC.
Oh, I agree. In fact, we just finished a 3-part, or our sister organization at Mason just finished a 3-part workshop that Elise and I contributed to on exactly that. So if anybody watching wants that information, they can reach out and we will be happy to pass along the good work of our sister SBDC at Mason. Harish, your thoughts, please. What would you do differently if you had your day again?
Sure. I think I would add one thing that which I thought and did not do it, but I would love, what I definitely do is to add a solid content strategy. And why so? Here are a couple of reasons. One is would have probably helped us have a much better branding. Number one, it would have helped obviously with some level of inbound customer prospects. And more importantly, I think I would use these tools for nurturing of prospects as well as clients. I think we probably missed several opportunities to do that. So I would definitely do that.
Thank you. Sandra, if I could do over, what would your answer be?
I would definitely have embraced social media, digital marketing. I would have actually created a digital marketing strategy as part of, I would have included that in my business plan. In my industry, it really is a requirement. And, it was some great takeaways once we did realize what we needed. But I think understanding it and really utilizing it and implementing it. I think also with doing digital strategy, you also need to make sure you understand what your key performance metrics are as well, or indicators or KPIs. That should be included with your digital marketing strategy. So yeah, and of course, focus on sales and training, because the digital marketing, if it's done right, you're going to bring the right people to you. But now they call you, you have to make sure that your staff is trained so that they can convert that, right? Because we can get them to the door, but now that you're at the door and you answer that door, you have to make sure that you can seal the deal. And I think that for some of us, we get so hung up on, oh, I got to get the digital marketing down. And that's great because you need to, but you also need to make sure that you're making sure that your team is trained on sales, because that's so important. Client engagement.
I totally agree with you. Both you and Angie said the same thing. You can get a call to action, then they take the action. Now what?
Right.
Thank you very much. I'd like now to invite Elise to give her, kind of what she heard, and then Terry to kind of give a summary of what he heard, and then finally would ask Eric to give us his. He probably didn't hear as much as the other counselors, but his kind of take on, and then I'm going to hand off to Eric to close us out.
Okay.
So Elise, over to you.
Yeah, I think that we have like a recipe, but you need to find the unique recipe for each one. And you, all phrases coming from you, our clients. So understanding your numbers and your business and being ready for new relationships, because this is the digital marketing strategy you're talking about. We are trying to create new relationships. And as Angie said, everybody would like to be special there. So we need to know them. And I think that Mark said, find your target and promote where they are. And they are looking for opinions and testimonials. So this is another thing you told us today. You don't need to have one place with the best reviews you can, because this is another thing that's happening organically. And yes, strategy, listen your clients' questions. This is content, and having a content strategy, a language. I think that both Mark and Angie and Lysandra were talking about, like, message, the language you have to talk with your clients. And I'm very proud you're trying YouTube and TikTok and everything that's new, because this is the way to turn out being an expert in our market. So this is very good that you're going there and you're trying to give next steps and also relationships with new partners. This is everything you told us today. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Elise. Terry, do you want to offer your summation?
Sure. I was jotting down stream of consciousness here as we were going along. I have 37 items.
Can you pick the top five?
I think Elise summarized it nicely. I think the one thing that kept coming up was the value of having a CRM and using digital tools to manage your customer relationship, and being able to use an effective CRM platform helps you to organize your thoughts, will make operating your business much simpler, and will give you leverage into other tools and other content management tools that I think is really important. So I'd say that, and what Lysandra said at the very end there, I think was really important. Include a digital marketing strategy in your business plan as you're getting started, and you won't be surprised by it 3 years later when all of a sudden you need to have one. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Terry. I know you have 33 more items, but out of respect for everybody's time, I'm just going to hand off to Eric. And if you'd like to give us your quick thoughts and then close out, so we wrap, but we have about 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of things that that I noticed is, one, that is the specifics matter, right? There is no one size fits all solution when you're talking about any kind of marketing, especially digital marketing, right? You need to know what works for your specific business. And that really starts with knowing your why, is what I heard a lot, right? There's no quick magic shortcuts to any of this stuff. So you need to be thoughtful about it. One of the things that I sort of noticed, and I've seen this a lot with clients, is that efficiency and optimization actually builds on some very fundamental understandings in your business. Like if you're not clear who your target is, or who your vertical is, or what you need to say to get their attention, you can spend a lot of time and money trying to get a lot of traffic that won't get you anything, right? So you really want to start there, figuring out what your value proposition is and who your people really are. All of you have spent a lot of time and effort and a lot of work figuring that out. And now you are starting to see the optimization and the tools really work for you. So I think that's really critical. And then the other theme that sort of came up, which tags onto what Terry said, is know your entire process. Like think of this in context of the entire business process. Marketing, digital lead generation, that's a piece of the entire process. So, and I heard several times, you need to know, what do you do when it works? Like a lot of us unfortunately try things and they don't work so well. Well, that's easy to figure out, right? It's knowing what to do and how to handle the customers when they come in, and that does work, and they are the right customers and they do want help from you. So you look at your sales process, look at your customer process, look at your delivery process. All of that becomes a part of that. And so I'll echo, having that be an integrated part of your overall plan is really, really important. So I'll segue that into a thank you, everybody, for coming today. I guess it's not almost tonight, right? Coming today and taking your time. And thank you so much to all the panelists. It's always a joy to hear the experience of our clients that we work with a lot, and to share your knowledge and your experiences with the rest of the world. We really appreciate it. The SBDC is here to help all of you to try to figure out things like this. And we welcome the opportunity to work with any small business in the county directly ourselves, who needs assistance with these kinds of things, with general planning as well as the digital marketing. And keep in mind that the SBDC is a network. There are 27 centers all over the state of Virginia. I'm not sure where everybody on the call today is from, but I'll guarantee we've got people from all over the state. Please feel free to reach out, and we will make sure that you get connected with the people in your center. And thank you, Subodh, for putting this together, leading the charge and spearheading all of this. Please do take the webinar evaluation that's just popped up on everybody's screen. This is really important for us. And if you want to get information about us or what we do or contact us, please, go to the website, loudonsbdc.com, and we will be happy to assist in any way we can. Subodh, you want to wrap it up?
I do, Eric. Thank you very much. Please, 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 please take the evaluation before you leave. Otherwise, we'll hound you electronically as relentlessly as Mark does. Just kidding, Mark. And then thank you again. There will be a recording that will be sent out. If you want to get in touch with any of our very kind small business owners that participated today, have a specific question of them, please reach out to Loudon SBDC and we'll pass along, we'll make that connection for you. And thank you, all 18 of you that have answered the survey. And if there's just a few of you could do it, that would be very helpful. So I'm going to leave it up for another 40 seconds. If you need to, please leave. If you have a chance to fill in the evaluation, please do that. Otherwise, thank you all so much. But we'll stay up for another 30 seconds so that people can finish can respond to the evaluation. And Mark, Harish, everybody, thank you. I'm feeling very glowing, good about you guys right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subodh and team. It's a pleasure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to all of you soon.
Thank you.